Nearly every House Democrat votes against bill to protect women's sports. And I would argue that it's not just about women's sports, it's about setting the agenda, setting the stage for reality to finally, hopefully, Lord willing, creep back into American society. The woke mind virus has made it to where there's apparently 57 Heinz varieties of genders and whatever that they want to throw out there. In reality, there's men and there's women. That's it. Okay, there's a few very, 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 very rare exceptions, and those exceptions are just anomalies. They're not the type of things that you would want to make a rule over, and yet, for whatever reason, the woke mind virus has forced the left to embrace lunacy, anti-science, and anti-faith at the same time. They're just making everybody mad. Rebecca Zelko over at The Blaze talked about it. She said, this landmark legislation amends Title IX so that protections are recognized based on sex rather than the gender identity in individual claims to adopt. The bill was brought forth to confront the increasing concerns surrounding male athletes who identify as transgender and then compete in women's sports. The bill states that any federally funded sports program designated for women or girls that allows a person whose sex is male to participate will be in violation of the law, and therefore they won't get the funding that they want. The legislation goes on to clarify that sex shall be the recognized based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth, as it should be. This is what makes total sense. Now, unfortunately, this is going to almost certainly, unless they can get seven Democrats and keep every Republican in the Senate, then this is going to get filibustered, and we're going to have to take a different approach to make this happen. But I'm glad to see that at least they're making the effort, and I was also very glad to see Mike Johnson, who I've had, obviously, many challenges with Mike Johnson, but he does speak the truth here when a pretentious journalist, I hesitated to use the word, but we'll go ahead and say, fine, reporter, journalist, whatever, asked a ludicrous question, and Mike Johnson gave what I consider to be a very good answer. Not the best answer, but a good one for Mike.
You led off by saying that man is not be a man. A man is a man, and a woman is a woman, and a man not become a woman, and that's what Scripture teaches. That's at least the second time I've heard you reference that. Can you say why you think Christian Scripture teaches that? I'm curious about your response. So you various other Christian traditions interpret Scripture differently. Okay, transgender.
Well, it goes back to the first book in Genesis. Male and female, he made them. I mean, this is pretty clear. I'm not sure there's another interpretation, but everybody's open to interpreting Scripture however they will. But this is comports with common sense as well. So we know it from our religious tradition, which I believe is the truth. I'm a Bible-believing Christian, make no apology about that. But whether you regard that as the truth or not, it's also nature. It's biology. And biology is not bigotry, as we say. Anyone who would accuse the supporters of this legislation otherwise is ill-informed. This is to protect women and girls. It's very clear. It's been articulated well, and you've heard examples. Riley is one of the most famous, but again, it happens all the time, all across the country. Congress has a role to play here. We should step into this arena, and it's an appropriate thing for us to do. So we make no apology for it. And this is not out of dislike or discrimination against anybody at all. This is the right thing to do, and it's to protect women and girls, and that's our role here.
He is right. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of Mike Johnson by any means, but when he's right, he's right. In that case, he was right. Quick shout out to the only two Democrats who voted in favor of the bill. That would be Representative Henry Culler and Vicente Gonzalez. So remember those names. These are Democrats that maybe more can come around. Look, here's the thing. This issue, the entire LGBTQIA plus supremacy agenda issue, is one that must be fought on a cultural basis. This isn't, I mean, sure, we can fight it politically, but we're not going to win. Not enough. We can't wait around for D.C. and for the states and for cities and for other organizations to come around to reality or to come back to reality. We have to fight this culturally. In other words, we need to be able to talk to people, to educate them. And this isn't just about protecting women and girls and their sports. This is a direct attack. The entirety of the trans supremacy agenda is about attacking the faith. The reason that they want to indoctrinate and then physically change people, as many people as possible, particularly children, make them make life-changing, irreversible decisions at young ages, is because they know that once they can get somebody into that belief system, they're far less likely to embrace biblical values. If you tell somebody and convince them that they're in the wrong body, then that means one of two things. Either God made a mistake and put them in the wrong body, or God doesn't exist at all. This has always been a spiritual battle, and we can and should fight it spiritually, but we must also fight it culturally. We need to be able to educate people and to shame those who continue to engage in what I consider to be child abuse. So yeah, good on Mike Johnson for invoking the Bible to some extent. Good on House Republicans for pushing forward with bold legislation. Now let's see if they can actually do something in the Senate, which I'm very doubtful that they'll be able to do anything at all. Please be sure to subscribe to my new Rumble channel over at jdrucker.com/rumble1. That's the number 1. jdrucker.com/rumble1. That's where I'm going to be putting all of my shows going forward.